Department of Conservation, Andy Thompson and Rachel Brown.
Kia ora tātou. I'm Andy Thompson. I'm the Operations Manager for the Mahanui District, Department of Conservation. My district runs from the Rakaia River up to the Conway River just south of Kaikoura. Comes inland a wee bit to Darfield and Springfield, and includes Christchurch City, Banks Peninsula, the marine areas, marine mammal sanctuaries, and a bit of work on the coastline. With me is Rachel Brown, one of our community rangers. We're based out at Sockburn, but we also have a native plant nursery at Motukarara, a visitor centre here with the eyesight in Christchurch. And the bulk of our submission this morning is really about saying we love working with the council and we want to work with you a bit more. Just stepping back a little bit, there's a whole group of people in Christchurch that work in Christchurch and live in Christchurch, but for us, you know, sometimes it's the mountains that are our cathedrals, our churches, and it's the rivers and the coastline that are our pathways. And it's what Christchurch offers in terms of access to some magnificent parts of the South Island that is what motivates us to live and stay in Christchurch. So I'd like to kick off our submission. I want to talk a little bit about goats on Banks Peninsula.
Yeah.
We can get rid of them. At the moment, the City Council, ECAN and DOC have a joint project. We all put money in and we undertake what's called sustained control of those goat populations. Now, by putting a little bit more money in 5 years' time, we believe we can actually eradicate the goats off the peninsula. And that gives us some defendable space. ECAN have done a superb job in their pest management strategy recently of recognising that and giving us powers under the Biosecurity Act. Your Christchurch, your rangers on the Port Hills do a fantastic job working with us on the ground. We're upping our commitment to getting rid of goats. ECAN are upping their commitment to getting rid of goats, and we would like the council to up your commitment to getting rid of the goats. Every dollar you put in is generating another $2, $3 back. So it's a pretty good investment. This is a really good start to a pest-free peninsula. The other part of my submission is to encourage the council to support a common plan for a partnership approach with pest-free Banks Peninsula, particularly to support. I'm here to support the submission made by the Banks Peninsula Conservation Trust, who have asked for $50,000 to help create a strategy for a pest-free peninsula. Again, that's also generating support from ECAN and support from the Department of Conservation. That will give us a long-term plan out to 2050 of how we actually will achieve the pest-free peninsula. The other thing I would like to bring to the council's attention is for the council to continue to provide financial grants to community groups such as the Rod Donald Trust, Quail Island Ecological Restoration Trust and the Summit Road Society, who are actively supporting conservation outcomes. Those groups again do a great job of lobbying every agency, whether it's the Department of Conservation, City Council or ECAN, for further funding. So any grants that you give there, again, generating a really good return for conservation because they get something from you and then they come straight to us. My third key submission point is around water. I guess you're hearing a bit about this. DOC encourages the Christchurch City Council to recognise national importance of biodiversity in the city's rivers, estuaries and wetlands, particularly shorebirds, wetland birds and freshwater fish. The council have done a fantastic job with its bylaws in the city's rivers to protect tuna, eels, and we would love to see that extended to a faunistic reserve to cover eels in the Avon, Heathcote rivers. The rivers took a real knock during the earthquake, and it's important for us to recreate some of the Inanga wetland areas that have previously been degraded. Some great work was being done on prior to the earthquake. Our inanga are in trouble. We know our minister is going to be working on it quite soon, so your help would be supported. Ongoing support and enhancement for the lamprey habitat in the canal drain and reserve beside National Road. Again, this is another area where I want to congratulate the council. Your leadership there was superb, absolutely brilliant. DOC encourages further support for the Enviro Schools program. This is something that we're a partner in already, so are many other councils, and Christchurch City Council do provide some funding through strengthening the Communities Fund, one of your funds. However, we know there are 47 schools on the wait list for Enviro Schools programs in Christchurch. So there's a lot of schools here, a lot of schools want to engage in our outdoors, in our environment. There's no doubt the demand for this, and this is one way that the department has chosen to do that, and we would encourage the council to get behind that initiative. And one of the final points I would make is around the Sites of Ecological Significance program. The need to push that hard and fast is overwhelming, and we've seen recently the degradation that's occurred at Kaitariti, and the loss of habitat for Muehlenbeckia stonii and so many other threatened species due to a land use change, which actually, frankly, should never have been allowed in the plan. And if those plan provisions can't protect that area, that high value biodiversity area, they're not going to protect anything else. So we do want to acknowledge and congratulate the council. I think your ranger teams are heroes. They complement my team very well. We've fought fires together. We maintain tracks together. We do biodiversity work together. We do whale strandings, seal strandings together. They're absolutely awesome. Any reinforcement of time and energy and hours you can get for those staff who are stretched a million different ways is greatly appreciated. So thank you for your continued support for those ranger teams. They're great.
Thank you very much, and yeah, absolute support for the rangers, and I know that they feel just as strongly about working with the DOC staff such as yourself. So thank you. I've got Vicky, I've got Tim, and then I've got Phil and Andrew and Dion, but we may not get through everyone.
So I'll be brief. Thank you very much for a lovely presentation. Just in terms of working with young people in conservation and in the gardens and at other places, we're looking at an intern scheme. And Cultivate the other day, you do urban agriculture, horticulture, are also keen to be involved. Would the Department of Conservation be interested in that?
Urban agriculture?
No, interns working with you, because we're finding a tremendous shortage of workers in park, recreation, all that sort of area.
I would love to be able to say yes, but I'm probably caught by similar constraints as you are. I would love to say yes. We don't have one person dedicated to education, and that's why we work in Christchurch, and that's why we work with Enviro Schools. Essentially, we contract our commitment out to...
Okay, but we should talk to you.
Yep.
Yep.
Tim?
Thank you. If you could just go back to the slide that had the Banks Peninsula and the areas of the goats.
Sure.
Yeah, so my ignorance, I've shot a few things in my time, but you know. With the areas, so for instance, why don't you kind of isolate an area and try and wipe them out in the next area and next area? I know they can waddle around, but...
I don't know if I've got a mouse here. Yeah, so this area, Little Akaloa, that's exactly our approach this year. We're aiming for eradication here. It's our first year we've aimed for eradication in one particular zone.
Yep.
If we get eradication there, then it protects the rest of that, most about half the peninsula. So you did right. And that protects also the wild side area, which is another area where ECAN, City Council and DOC and the community work together on. So it keeps goats away from the Hinawai area, from our reserves over in that area, and from the great marine protected areas.
So you're going to start that program, so you're starting with that one and then you're working your way around.
That's right. We had a really good trial last year here, Prices Valley. and Kaituna Valley, and we almost got them all.
Yeah.
But we've beefed up that approach significantly this year with the help of the Rod Donald Trust. We've completed phase 1 already. We have permission from the landowners. In fact, landowners are now approaching us because they can see the competency that has been injected into this program. So we'll aim to get rid of those. Then I'd recommend we come back to this area and we isolate the populations at that point, and then we start.
Thank you.
Lovely. Look, thank you very much. For the sake of other submitters that are coming forward, the time's come to a conclusion. But thank you very much for your submission. I think it's been very powerful indeed.